Which is Breaking. Breaking is the new movie with John Boyega. Here, he's playing a real life figure in by the name of Brian Brown-Easley. Brian Brown-Easley, who was a former Marine Corps veteran. He was facing financial trouble there, and he ended up, because of his financial trouble, ended up going into a Wells Fargo bank and attempting to rob it. But the thing is, it was like he wasn't going in the bank asking for like $1 million, $10 million. He was only going to the bank to ask for $192, the exact amount he wants from.
Yeah, $892, which is the exact amount that the VA stole from him over some bullshit claim.
Yeah. Of a situation, the issue mix up of him paying a debt and everything like that, which kind of forced him to kind of go to this bank and attempt to rob it and ask for this money. And this is also based on an article that you can read called "They Didn't Have to Kill Him." The article was written by Aaron Gill, and I actually read the article, which details Easley's whole life, his history, kind of his whole background and everything like that. If you want to check it out, give it a read. Recommend it. I'll link it below in the description if somebody wanted to kind of read it. And John Boyega, also I think this movie's probably not going to get a lot of attention. It's a smaller movie. Also, the title of this movie, Breaking, I think maybe you would opt to go for a better title. I think that's kind of a forgettable title. Just call it Breaking. I think that's kind of very forgettable. But Boyega, I've always been interested to kind of see.
Yeah, from what I knew, this movie had a completely different title when it premiered at Sundance.
Yeah, I think it was called. It was like a number, like 411 something, or it was like a number, or something like that.
I think it was 829.
829
is what it was called, which referred. Oh, 892. Yeah, 892 was the original title of it when it premiered at Sundance, which of course refers to $892, the exact amount that the VA owed Brian Brown-Easley.
Yeah. So I think that you could have maybe done better with the kind of the title of the movie. Boyega, I've always, I like Boyega. I think he got, robbed in the Star Wars movies. I think he's got he's a great talent, and I think he wasn't really able to show that in some of those movies. So I've been kind of, with this, I think he's able to show his range and show that he can be a very good actor. I think Boyega's got great talent. And even though I didn't think he did, he was kind of underserved in those movies, the Star Wars movies, I think he had great charisma, and I think he had great charm. And then even when he was in Attack the Block, I thought also like he had, great charm in those movies as well.
Yeah, this film reminds you that John Boyega is a hell of a talent when you give him something to do besides pine for a white lady that Disney is never going to let him smash.
Exactly. So I've been, I think, to give him some more roles, some opportunities. And he's also going to be in The Woman King, I believe, coming up, which is coming up.
I cannot fucking wait for that.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be in that coming up. So I think, this movie, it's difficult to balance kind of a movie like this because you have a movie that is dealing with the real life situation of this guy, and the fact that it does involve police brutality. So you don't want to sensationalize it, but you don't want to underplay exactly what happened with this. And, what happened with Easley, being a veteran, coming back home. It's the story we hear a lot of veterans who come back home, of struggling with mental health issues. He had a lot of financial problems. He was living in his car at one point. He was kind of bouncing around from place to place. He wasn't very served, and also about kind of the conditions of the VA, how the VA can not do the best for veterans. We hear a lot about that and stories about that, and kind of their reputation at times. So I think you don't want to push it too hard where it kind of becomes pandering to a sense, or kind of like, really trying to become so like you're really milking it, but you also want to tell the seriousness of the situation. And I think when they introduced the character, I think you introduce him at a very low point in his life, when he's completely embarrassed, like the situation at the VA where he gets kicked out. It's just such an incredibly low point in his life. I think the movie would have been served better if you did show a little bit more of his life before you get to the bank, where you see him kind of rob it, before, to see more of his relationship with his daughter, with his ex-wife, because you see that a little bit throughout the movie. But I think maybe you could have spent maybe 20 more minutes, because this movie clocks in like an hour and 40 plus. But maybe 20 more minutes of really exploring his life before he kind of, like, just a series of events maybe before he kind of has that really low moment that you see him in the VA and then getting to the bank. That really would have, I think, served the story a little bit better. What were kind of your thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, for me, I kind of agree with you there, because the film opens up with this incident after he leaves the VA, and then we get a couple scenes of him just walking, trying to talk to his daughter, and then the whole plot with the robbing the Wells Fargo kicks in. And I think we needed a little bit more time with John Boyega and seeing his life outside of it, seeing kind of the circumstances that drove him to this point of desperation, which I think, very much like you said, this film is not trying to sensationalize a lot of this, which I think serves it very well. And it also, I think this movie has a very difficult task of balancing this true crime story along with, this critique about the VA, and also about the post-traumatic stress that some veterans deal with. Because I think a fascinating thing is that we're never really feel at ease with John Boyega. There's always this kind of looming threat with him until, because I didn't know this story prior to seeing the movie, that that I kind of don't want to give it away, but you understand and you spend enough time with Brian Brown-Easley in this film where you develop a real sense of empathy for him. And every character that he deals with wants him and everybody to go home. There's like even conversations with the hostages that he has in the bank, who are played excellently by Selenis Leyva and Nicole Bahari. They are very empathetic to him. They're scared out of their minds, which is appropriate for this situation. And even the hostage negotiator that's brought in who's played by Michael K. Williams, and I think his last role.
Yeah.
There's a kinship between the two of them that I think, in the hands of a lesser director and lesser actors, this would have fallen apart.
Yeah. And I believe this is the director. This is his first feature film, I believe. Correct? I think this is his first feature film.
Abi Damaris Corbin, who directed this film.
Her feature film. So I said his. Her first feature film. Yeah. Abi Damaris Corbin. Yeah. Her first feature film here, I believe. Yeah. Because mostly she's done shorts. She's kind of just doing shorts here. Like you mentioned, like how you kind of feel kind of uneasy following the character of Easley, because he does have moments where he will just kind of just freak out, or you know what I mean, and things like that, where he will have the moments of rage there that kind of makes it kind of a little bit unpredictable. If you see kind of like with the two hostages, like you said, they generally, I mean, because, and this is also from the article as well, they remark, like the actual women who were there with him in the bank, they remark about, like, the guy was actually pretty respectful for, probably the most respectful bank robber you ever will meet. And, one of the nicest ones, I guess. And there's even a moment in the movie where he even answers a call, like somebody calls the bank, and I was like, hello, can I speak to? And he actually starts acting like he works at the bank. He's like, oh, you looking for this person? Oh, let me take a message for you. Let me write that down real quick. Oh, you looking for who? Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. We're going to get back to you.
Which is like such a nice scene of levity considering the rest of this film.
Yeah. And even the two women are looking at each other like, what the fuck? Like, okay. He's like, this was Elizabeth. She called. She's looking for this person. Just here you go. You can take that. Which was like I said, a nice moment of levity there in the movie, and good performances from the two women here, Nicole Bahari, there, and Selenis Levy, who I guess it's like 6 degrees of separation on this show because she was also in Orange Is the New Black, who we just talked about, another actress who was in that, speaking of a Samaritan, and also she was also in No Way Home, which was the guy from Samaritan who was the guy that I forgot the actor's name, the one from Freaks and Geeks. He was also in that, so I was like,
Martin Short. Yeah.
yeah, he was in that. So I guess 6 degrees of separation happening tonight. I thought that was kind of very nice. And Michael K. Williams, who's in this, who is the hostage negotiator for the police who come in. And I think this is his last role, I believe, that we'll see him in. That's also kind of sorry to see that. If great talent like Michael K. Williams, who passed away this year, I believe, right?
Yeah, very recently.
Yeah. So that was kind of really sad to see. But he does a really great job in the movie and talking to John Boyega. And John Boyega, especially in this film, he's saying like, well, I already know what's going to happen to me. I mean, they're not going to let me out. I already kind of know like what's kind of going to happen to me. And, and you can read the story about what happened, or you can watch the movie to see what kind of happened throughout it. Yeah, and also Jeffrey Donovan is in this. He's also kind of a smaller role as one of the officers here. He's also does a decent job there in a kind of a smaller role that he has. I thought this was a strong movie. And I thought it was strong performances across the board from everybody. And I think it does a good job at kind of showing this character of Easley and kind of having sympathy for him and what he's going through. Because it's like, because when he just says like, I just want my $892. That's all I want. And everybody's going, that's it? That's what you came in here for? Like just that? Like, it's like, that's all I want. And it's just kind of it's just a sad story. But I wish they just did explore more with the guy. So you saw more of his journey. Because you see kind of glimpses of his service, and time in the military there. That it's not fully fleshed out, I don't think, all that much.
And it's even hinted that Brian Brown-Easley's had mental health issues prior to his time in war, which I think was a really interesting turn.
Yeah. And then seeing the conversations that he has with a lot of the hostages there, especially Nicole Bahari, who is a black woman herself, and that dynamic there, her having a black child, him being especially a black boy, and then him being a black man, and you see kind of some of that dynamic kind of play out there, and even Michael K. Williams, of course, being a black man himself and being a part of the police, and everything that could mean. So I thought this was a strong movie. Some people saying like kind of compared to like the Dog Day Afternoon. I don't know. I think there's just because like they're both bank robbery movies, I guess.
Yeah, it's a very surface level comparison. I think because I think Breaking, it has a little bit more poignant social commentary with it as far as like talking about the treatment of veterans in the state, whereas Dog Day Afternoon, that was make no mistake, it's a brilliant film, and also kind of timeless, especially considering the situation regarding the LGBT community today.
Yeah. So I wouldn't really too much compare to Dog Day Afternoon. I just think it's because it's just maybe the bank robbery element of it, but yeah. So I would give it a tune in from me. What would you give it there, Nick?
Me, I'm at a very strong tune in with this film, purely off the strength of the entire cast performances. I think with the right push from the studio, if it came out like a couple months later around November time, Boyega and Bahari could very well be in Oscar contention, because I think the performance is that good.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see it if you give it. I don't know. Critics might forget about this movie come voting time, awards time. They might kind of forget about it. Might be with the wayside.
Yeah, which is sad, because that does happen if stuff comes out way too early in the year.
Yeah, I think it would have probably been better served to come out maybe November, kind of at that time. Yeah, get people's attention. But I think it's very great performance from Boyega. Very great performance from him. Does a great job with it. So that was Breaking.